All right, this is the solution for problem number 2 from the Unit 8 review. So it says, if v equals t cubed minus 3t squared plus 2t, find the total distance traveled when t is on the closed interval 0 to 3. Once again, setup only. All right, so we need to think about total distance traveled. So we remember that total distance traveled, okay, is the integral from a to b of the absolute value of velocity. And so, if we want to think about the absolute value, we need to understand when this function is positive and when this function is negative. So, we will set the velocity equal to 0 to determine when the velocity is negative and when it's positive, and then do a sign analysis. So, t cubed minus 3t squared plus 2t is equal to 0. So, I will factor out a t, getting us t squared minus 3t plus 2, and set t equal to 0. So, it's 0 at 0. Then, t squared minus 3t plus 2 factors into t minus 2, t minus 1. So, t equals 2. And t equals 1. So now, the velocity is 0 at 0, 1, and 2, and our interval ends at 3. So now we're going to take t minus 2, and t minus 1 and do a sign analysis. So I'm going to put a 0 above 0 in the top row, a 0 above 2 in the middle row, and a 0 above 1 in the next row. So now for my sign analysis, I only care about to the right of 0 and to the left of 3. So if I plug in a positive value for t, I get a positive value. So I'm going to fill out positives across the top row. Then in the middle row, if I fill out a value to the left of 2, like 1, 1 minus 2 is negative 1, so I have negatives to the left. To the right of 2, like at 3, 3 minus 2 is positive, so I'm going to put a positive here. Then on the bottom row, to the left of 1, like 0. 0 minus 1 is negative, so I put a negative there. And then if I pick a number to the right of 1, like 2, we can say 2 minus 1 is 1, so positives here. So to carry down the sign analysis, our velocity is positive times a negative, which is a positive between 0 and 1. Positive times a positive is negative between 1 and 2, and positive times a positive, so positive between 2 and 3. So what does that mean about the graph of velocity? So graph of velocity, it has a 0 at 0, it's positive from 0 to 1, then it's negative from 1 to 2, then it's positive from 2 to 3. So if this is 2, this is 1, this is 3, this is essentially the graph of velocity. So that means we want to take the integral from 0 to 1 and then subtract the integral from 1 to 2 and then add the integral from 2 to 3. So our total distance is the integral from 0 to 1 of t cubed minus 3t squared plus 2t with respect to t. Then we're going to subtract the integral from 1 to 2 of t cubed minus 3t squared plus 2t with respect to t. Then lastly, we're going to add the integral from 2 to 3 of t cubed minus 3t squared plus 2t with respect to t. Remember, the positive parts of velocity, we're going to take their integrals as they are, and the negative parts, we're going to subtract them. Remember, when you subtract an integral that is negative, it's like making it positive, therefore adding, therefore evaluating the integral of the absolute value of velocity. And once again, it said setup only, so no need to carry this out. So here is our answer.